Hi, I'm Jenny with Hope, Love, and Tat, healing after a breast cancer diagnosis. And I have my friend Beverly Biehl here with me. She is the intuitive interior. She is an amazing energy worker. She's done a lot of work with me and my family. She is a feng shui worker and breast cancer survivor. And I'm so excited that you're sitting down with me to talk to me. You've got 17 years since your breast cancer diagnosis.
Right.
Right.
I got officially diagnosed on July 16th. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
very odd. There's now an echo. Let's see. Let's try it. There's still an echo there?
No, now there's an echo.
Okay. Let me plug myself back in. Mercury retrograde. Okay, so there's actually back at no echo again. So the official diagnosis date was July 16th. And I'm sorry, July 18th. July 18th. And then I finished with all of my treatments, my radiation, at the end of May of 2003. So it was till about 2002 when I got the diagnosis. And then as we all know, if you're going to go through the conventional method, it takes about a year. And so end of May was when I got well, okay, you're all done. Have a nice life. And I'm like, I hated that. I mean, I was great. It was like, woohoo. But then it's like, wait a minute. You're just releasing me into the wild and I have no hunting skills.
Tell me what your diagnosis was, just so we know.
So I had stage 2B, the estrogen and progesterone positive, and I had 3 small tumors in a little triangle on the outer left quadrant of my left breast. And when they did the sentinel node biopsy, which was still fairly experimental at the time, they took out 2 lymph nodes, and the first lymph node had 2 millimeters of cancer cells, so just like a little teeny tiny bit, and nothing in the second. The original treatment protocol at that time, again, this is 17 years ago, a lot has changed. But back then, the protocol was to double mastectomy. Even though it was super slow growing, my doctor told me that I probably had these cells in my body for over 3 years, and probably would have had them there for another 10 before I really would have noticed, anything, before things got really, really crazy. The treatment protocol was, at that time, double mastectomy, axillary dissection, taking out up to 30 lymph nodes under my arm, and followed by, again, 8 rounds of chemo. I could have avoided radiation had I gone through that whole thing. But my daughter was starting kindergarten, and I would have been in the hospital for her first full week of kindergarten to do the tram flap reconstruction. And, again, my thought at that time was, woohoo, new boobs and a tummy tuck. And I don't have to pay for it. But I didn't want to be in a hospital when my daughter was having her first, school experience. So as luck would have it, my sister-in-law happened to be friends with the head of breast oncology at MD Anderson in Houston. We were living in the Dallas, Texas area at the time. And so she sent my pathology report to her friend, who was gracious enough to call me back and say, yeah, this looks like a great treatment plan. We probably would have recommended the same thing, although I probably would do the chemo first rather than the surgery, just to see how the tumors are going to react. And at that time, it was just one of those, well, that's an option. It's like, well, of course. The way it had been presented to me at the time was, there was no, of course, there were no options. It was, this is what we're going to do.
Mhm.
And I was not entirely appreciative of the fact that either that I wouldn't be able to see or even meet my oncologist until after everything had been lopped off.
Yeah.
So I remember having that phone call with my breast surgeon, and I think that's when she realized that I was going to be a problem patient, because I just flat out said, nope, not coming in. You can't make me. You're not going to come to my house and strap me on a gurney and force me to have my boobs cut off.
I think there's still that question now, even 17 years later, which is better? They don't really know. There's doctors on both sides. Which is better, chemo or surgery first? I did surgery first, but I think mainly it was because they misdiagnosed me and they thought I was HER2 positive, and they were like, it's so aggressive, you have to get it out.
Yeah, see, and I had a HER2 negative, and so I didn't have and when they said that, that the tumors or the cancer cells that were in my body were slower growing, yes, I still wanted to address it, but I also had been the one who found it. Yeah, we had a whole bunch of weird crap happen at the beginning of the year. I always say that 2002 was my country music year, because
Write a country song.
well, yeah, because a lot of country songs are, there's all about this devastation and all these terrible things happening, and so we had a fire in the house. My husband got laid off right after, we got hit right out. Like, the fire was on a Friday. He went to work on Monday and was laid off that afternoon.
Gosh.
And because of the fire, then the dog got sick, because poor Otto was stuck in the house with all that petrochemical soot. I mean, it wasn't that much fire damage; it's just a whole lot of